I welcome you all to StudyIQ. My name is Prashant Dhawan, and in this video we shall find out what exactly is the International Solar Alliance. What does this alliance intend to do? What are its objectives? What is the framework of this alliance? How many countries have ratified it? And how are India and France trying to change the world for better? So we shall discuss all that, and we shall also discuss what happened during the 2018 International Solar Alliance Summit in New Delhi. But before discussing all those important points, I would like to discuss a very beautiful quote with you. Once the great American inventor Thomas Edison, the man who invented the light bulb, was asked, which source of energy will be most important in the future? And he answered that I'd put my money on the sun and solar energy. Mind you, this statement was made before 1931, of course, because Thomas Edison passed away in 1931. So even in that era, he knew that solar energy would be the future. And he also said that what a source of power it is. I hope we don't have to wait till oil and coal run out before we can tackle that. I wish I had more years left. Thomas Edison wished that he had more years left so that he could contribute to the world in some form by building something that would help the world harness solar energy. Well, now that Thomas Edison is no more, it is up to us to carry forward this quest of finding a better source of energy for the world, because eventually we do want to switch from the conventional source of energy where we burn fossil fuels to a much more sustainable source of energy that is environment friendly and that will last a lot longer. Now, what exactly is the International Solar Alliance? Let's discuss this very important question, basic but important question. The International Solar Alliance is a coalition of solar resource rich countries lying fully or partially between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn to specifically address energy needs by harnessing solar energy. Currently, as of March 2018, 121 countries have agreed to be members of ISA. Now, here's the catch. ISA does not have 121 members as of yet. So, only a few countries out of 121 countries have ratified. So, most of these countries are from Africa. And a very important point from examination point of view is that Pakistan is not a part of ISA. Of course, I'm recording this video on the 12th March 2018. So as of now, Pakistan is not a member, but do make sure to keep yourself updated on all the future developments. So as you can see, these are the two imaginary lines, Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. And between this region, all these countries have tremendous potential for harnessing solar energy. Of course, it is not because it gets very hot over here because there is an abundance of sunlight. It is more so because these countries get sunlight pretty much all the 12 months of the year. Alright, there are a lot of countries in the northern part of the world like Russia, Sweden that don't really get sunlight for 3 or 4 months in a year. So definitely these countries are more suitable for harnessing solar energy. Now in front of your eyes is the official website of the International Solar Alliance. So first we will discuss what exactly is the framework of the ISA. Look, as you know, even the Paris Climate Agreement had a framework. As you probably remember, the framework was all about promoting renewable energy. It was about reducing carbon emissions, and countries had to first sign it, then go back to the respective parliaments and ratify it. Alright, this was the process. So a similar process will be followed over here as well. ISA has created a framework. So countries that want to become full-fledged members of the ISA, they are supposed to first sign this framework, then go back to the respective countries, ratify it, and then they will become proper members of the ISA. That means they will be following the ISA framework. They will be doing what the ISA envisions to do. So as of now, only 30 countries have actually ratified the agreement. The numbers are increasing day by day, of course, so don't really think that this number is very important. It will keep changing in the near future. So as of 12th March 2016, 61 countries have signed the ISA framework. Alright, over here it is written 60, but the 61st country is Egypt. They haven't really updated it over here. So all these countries have signed it and all these countries have ratified it. So the countries have ratified it are in front of you. Australia, Bangladesh, France, of course, France has ratified it, India has ratified it, Mauritius, Madagascar, Peru, Seychelles, Somalia. And over here, you will see the list of the potential members of the ISA. Alright, there are 121 countries over here. They have said, these countries have said that they want to become part of the ISA and they want to ratify the framework, but they haven't even signed it yet. But of course, things will change rapidly in the future. So at least over here, you can understand a very basic thing, that ISA doesn't have 121 members as of yet. It has 121 prospective members and territories. So now we are better equipped to answer this question. Is the ISA a treaty-based organization? Well, yes, it most certainly is, because now that it has a framework, it certainly is a treaty-based organization. Alright, so ISA can be conceived as a treaty-based intergovernmental international organization. This is the correct way to describe the ISA. And the 121 prospective member countries, those falling between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, of course, of the ISA, are also the United Nations members, can join the alliance by signing and ratifying the framework, or by acceptance or approval. Alright, so of course most of the countries will have to sign and ratify the framework of the ISA. Moving on, what exactly is the framework of the ISA? Look, this is very important. The ISA framework has a total of 14 articles. What is written in all these articles? How the ISA will function, where will the ISA headquarters be located, and the article 12 of this framework tells us the headquarters of this ISA will be in India. Alright, so a lot of other things are mentioned over here as well. How the country is supposed to contribute towards building a better future by promoting solar energy, and a lot of other things that will eventually help harnessing solar energy around the world. But there is a very important thing that you should know about, and that is that there are no targets or legal obligations imposed on member countries. So suppose if there is a country called, let's take an example of Madagascar. Suppose Madagascar signs the ISA framework, they ratify the framework, so now they have to work according to the framework, and if due to some circumstances they are unable to do so, then they will not be punished. There are no legal obligations of following this framework. Alright, so the UN member countries which are located beyond the tropics can join the ISA as partner countries. So countries like Russia, Sweden, Finland, that are certainly nowhere near the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, if they want to join the ISA, they can join as partner countries and organizations that have potential to help ISA achieve its objectives, including regional and intergovernmental economic integration organizations constituted by the sovereign states, at least one of which is a member of the ISA, can join ISA as a partner organization. The United Nations, including its organs, can join ISA as strategic partners. Alright, but there was some controversy about the partner countries, because look, a lot of countries in the northern part of the world, like Sweden, even Germany, they want to become full-fledged members of the ISA, but because of the rules, they cannot do so. So there are reports floating around that the members of the ISA are also talking about making the membership process more flexible, so that more countries can join ISA, and the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn limitation should be extended. So where is the seat of the ISA? Well, as per Article 12 of the ISA framework that all the countries are supposed to sign and ratify, the seat of the ISA will be located in India. And on 25th January 2016, the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji, and the then President of France, François Hollande, jointly laid the foundation stone of the International Solar Alliance headquarters and inaugurated the interim secretariat of the ISA in National Institute of Solar Energy campus in Gurugram, Haryana. Now, what is the structure of the ISA and how are the decisions taken? This is very important. Look, the ISA will have two-tier structure. One will be the assembly, the second one will be the secretariat. The assembly will consist of all the countries that ratify the framework, and each country that ratifies the framework will get one vote each in the assembly in the decision making process. Since India has played such an important role in the whole thing, India will get absolutely no advantage. Even though India has played a huge role, India will get no advantage, which is a good thing. And the secretariat will execute all the plans that the assembly decides. Alright, so the secretariat will be the executive in a way, and every member will get one vote. So we have understood what will the ISA do, how will it function, how many members does it have, what is its framework all about. Let's talk about the objectives. Why does ISA exist to begin with? Will they just have summits and talk about solar power? No, they are going to work on some very important aspects of solar energy. The high cost and low availability of finance. By high cost, I mean that solar panels are still very expensive for people in the developing world, because a person living in USA or some developed country might find solar panels and batteries quite affordable, but a person living in a developing country like Ethiopia or Somalia, that person might find the solar panels and batteries to be quite expensive. So it is still up to us to make sure that the cost of solar panels and batteries, they come down so that every country can afford solar energy. And of course, there is low availability of finance. A lot of countries around the world want to build solar parks. Like India has built a lot of solar parks in India. The latest one is the Shakti Sthala, which is right now the largest solar park in the world. So if an African country wants to build a solar park, they need finance for that, because the government doesn't really have that much money to make sure that a park is built. So availability of finance is an area where ISA will help everyone. And of course, the inadequate speed, scale and skill for deploying available solar technologies, and the lack of research and development. So ISA will focus on technology, finance and the availability. Now, in order to understand why are solar panels so expensive, we need to look at two elements: silicon and silver. Solar panels are made from a combination of these two elements. Of course, some other elements are involved as well, but these two are the main elements. Silicon, fortunately for us, is available in abundance, but silver isn't. Alright. Silver happens to be the element that's most widely used in solar panels, because almost all of the energy that is generated from the solar rays which hit the cells can actually be used, because silver, as you know, is a very good conductor as well. And every solar panel is actually composed of many solar cells as well, and each solar cell is made of silicon. And it depends on the quality of the solar panel and the quality of the silicon used in that, whether all the solar cells will absorb 50% or 45% of the total heat. So solar panels can vary in terms of quality, and of course they require some very expensive elements. That is why solar panels are still quite expensive. And as silver is becoming a rare element, we are unable to find more mines of silver around the world, and the prices of silver are also increasing. We will see that the price of solar panels will refuse to come down. So this right here, this is our opportunity and this is our challenge. We need to make sure that solar panels become more affordable, and the battery right over here, this battery becomes more advanced and more affordable as well, because people usually forget that the battery plays a very important part in harnessing solar energy. Because once you have collected all the solar energy over here, you have collected all the heat. How will you turn that heat into energy? You have to store it somewhere, right? You have to store it in batteries. So right now we are still, I would say, a long way from manufacturing the ideal batteries that would store large amount of energy over here and would be useful and affordable at the same time. So a lot needs to be done in terms of research and development over here. So now the basic question is, how can the International Solar Alliance help in solar deployment? Look, the ISA will help aggregate and harmonize demand across solar rich countries, thus creating large buyers market. Alright. So ISA will actually focus more on the economic aspect. A large and better organized demand will lead to lower costs, catalyze innovation and investments. It will enable participating countries to leverage the opportunities of a greater market power and the learning and network of developers, financiers and innovators and the existing institutions in all part of the globe. Another question can be, how can the ISA help in ensuring access to low cost finance? Because countries like Somalia, countries like Ethiopia, they do have plans to build major solar parks in their countries. Well, look, ISA can assist the member country, of course, the country that has ratified the framework, in finding suitable bilateral or multilateral funding agency that can finance based on sovereign guarantee or otherwise. Alright, so ISA will basically help facilitate the finance, and they will have this capability because countries like India and France are backing it up. India's role, of course, now we have talked about the financing. Let's see how India will directly help in financing a lot of the ISA countries. Look, the government of India will contribute 27 million to the ISA for creating the corpus, building infrastructure, and recurring expenditure over a 5-year duration from 2017 to 2021. India's Ministry of External Affairs, through its Development Partnership Program, has set aside around 2 billion US dollars as a line of credit facility to undertake solar projects in those African countries that have signed and ratified the ISA framework agreement. Make sure to remember this. Those African countries that have ratified the framework agreement. So this part is quite important. And India itself domestically has done a lot to promote solar energy, as you know. This year in 2018, India successfully achieved the target of producing 20 gigawatt of solar energy. And this target was supposed to be achieved by 2022. So India has achieved this target 4 years ahead of its time. Now we have set a new target for ourselves for 2022, and it would require India to produce 175 gigawatts of renewable energy, of which 100 gigawatts will be solar power, of course. And our Prime Minister has also said that 13 solar projects by India across the world worth 143 million have been completed or are in the process of being executed. And as you can see over here, this is a shining example of how India will promote solar energy in African countries. So in 2017, India launched a solar project in Egypt in a remote village of Agaween, and India will provide solar energy to the entire village over here. And there are many projects like these being done by India all over the African continent and the rest of the world as well. So India's contribution, India would give around 1.4 billion in aid to 15 developing nations for 27 or more solar projects like the one in Egypt. Now from exam point of view, you should know about this as well. Diu has become the first union territory in India to run 100% on solar power. Alright, so this is another initiative by the government of India to promote solar energy in our nation. So moving on. Now look, before we talk about what happened in the 2018 International Solar Alliance Summit in New Delhi, let's understand the timeline. How was the framework created? How was it set into motion? Alright. So on 30th November 2015, India and France jointly launched the International Solar Alliance in Paris during the United Nations Climate Change Conference, the COP21. After that, after a year later, on 15th November 2016, more than 20 countries including Brazil, France and India signed the framework. Alright, so framework was ready and 20 countries signed the framework. In order for the framework to come into force, around 15 countries need to ratify it, then they need to wait for a period of 30 days, then the framework comes into force. So 20 countries had signed it, of course they were yet to ratify it, and on 28th December 2016, the Union Cabinet of India approved the ratification of the ISA's framework of the International Solar Alliance by India. This is a very important date. India ratified the ISA framework on 28 December 2016. So after that, on 6 November 2017, Guinea ratified the International Solar Alliance and it became the 15th nation to do so. And right after Guinea's ratification, the International Solar Alliance's framework, it sort of came into existence. Of course, they had to wait for 30 days because this is a rule. So Guinea was pretty much the last country to ratify it before it came into force. Of course, a lot of countries have ratified it after Guinea as well. So other than Guinea, 14 other countries ratified it as well, like India, Bangladesh, Comoros, Fiji, France, Ghana, Mauritius, Nauru, Niger, Mali, Seychelles, Somalia, South Sudan and Tuvalu. So all these countries ratified it, and after 30 days, on 6 December 2017, the ISA framework agreement entered into force, and now it is, as you can see, it is working, and the first summit on this agreement was recently held in New Delhi. So since the framework has been ratified by the 15 nations and 30 days have passed and a lot of other countries have started ratifying it as well, the International Solar Alliance Summit, the first one, was held in New Delhi, and heads of many nations attended this summit, and it was co-hosted by India and France at Rashtrapati Bhavan. President Ramnath Kovind also co-hosted the summit with the French President Emmanuel Macron. Now France will be investing a lot of money in solar energy and of course will provide a lot of funds for the ISA. The French President Emmanuel Macron today pledged around $860 million for solar projects in developing countries and lauded India's efforts in making International Solar Alliance a reality. The joint goal is to have 1 terawatts of solar energy by 2030, for which the President of France said that all the countries will require 1 trillion US dollars. Where will this amount come from? Well, 50% of this amount, that is 500 billion US dollars, will come from the investments made by private companies. Of course, we will have to make certain environment for their investments, and we will have to make certain incentives for those countries to reap benefits from their investments. So there is still a long way to go, but at least all the countries are moving forward together. So overall, the ISA summit was a huge success, and presidents of various countries also attended, and the Prime Minister of India had bilateral meetings with a lot of them. For example, as you can see, here is the President of Sri Lanka, Sirisena, and the Prime Minister of India having a bilateral. A bilateral is a meeting on the sidelines of a particular summit. So India managed to forward its diplomacy in Asia as well during this summit. So this right here is the end of our video. We have discussed what is the ISA, what is its framework, how many countries have ratified it till now, but do stay updated about the ratification process. And that's pretty much all you need to know about the ISA and the ISA summit for any competitive examination. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. God bless you all.